up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully everyone's having a good day. So we're continuing on with our portfolio journey, right? Last video we talked about outcome and intent, and we talked about, right, areas that your portfolio can fall into, and we talked about how, like, open intent is kind of like the lazy way of not defining your portfolio. So you've been shooting, you've been practicing, and you've been getting better, and you can feel it. But now when someone asks you, hey, can I see your portfolio? What is it that you're going to show them, right? Because here's the thing. Most photographer programs don't tell you until it's kind of late. Your talent means almost nothing if you can't present it to somebody to have a conversation. A portfolio isn't just a collection of your best shots. It's the story you're telling the world about who you are as a photographer. And most people are telling that story wrong. And that's okay. And so today, as we keep moving through the portfolio series, I'm going to break down exactly how building a portfolio that gets people to stop scrolling and to start talking and just look, right? We're going to cover where to find inspiration, how to study photographers who already are doing it at the highest level, who are making money, and specific resources that will help educate your eye faster than anything else, right? So we're transitioning from, okay, we understand what the book is. Now we need to understand what is going to essentially be in the book and how a book should flow. Because this is the hard part. This is probably the second hardest part of when it comes to the portfolio. The first one is getting your photos and separating that down to, what it is that you need to make in the book. And this is to get an idea of what it is that you want to do when it comes to making a book. So here's the very first thing I would like you to do, and I think I want you to do this with me, right? It's not just a nod along and forget about it. Spend 1 or 2 hours a day looking at complete photography portfolios online, not like a little snippet, not single images on Instagram, like a complete portfolio from front to back, and understand it. Dive into, what it is. There's a reason I'm being so specific about this, okay? There's a massive difference between looking at one great photo and looking at an entire body of work with 20, 89, 100 photos. And when you see the whole thing, right, the beginning, the middle, and the end, you start to understand something that is really hard to teach within a classroom, and that's cohesion. The way a portfolio holds together, the way every image feels like it belongs with every other shot, the way the whole thing adds up to something bigger than just a single shot, right? You can read about cohesion all day long, but the moment you truly have a cohesive portfolio, you can feel it. It clicks and it will resonate. And once it clicks, you start seeing your own work completely differently. So where do you go for these portfolios? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into right now. So if you want to know who's working at the top, for example, let's say commercial photography right now, follow the money. Like specifically, follow the agents. A photographer's agent is, the person who's going to get them hired, right? Now, as you're starting out, it's kind of hard to get there, but you can find representation for people that are looking for your portfolio. And the reason why an agent is so important is they manage relationships, they're going to negotiate the deals, and most importantly, they're going to be the only ones who sign photographers whose portfolios are already exceptional. So they're looking for a specific body of work. For example, if you specialize in politics, you're not going to go to the NFL and show them a bunch of politics, right? They don't want that. They want sport photographers. And so knowing which side and where you fall on will definitely speak volumes, because the only sign they'll only sign with photographers whose portfolios are already exceptional and it's resonating with them. So when you look at an agent roster, you're looking at a curated list of people who have already cleared that bar. And here are some of the major photography agents within the US that you should visit right now. You know, you have Art Plus Commerce. They're one of the most prestigious agencies in fashion and commercial photography. You have Art Department and Art Partner, and they're both representing a wide range of editorial and advertising photography, right? And there's a few more, right? And I'll post them down in the link, right? But here's what I want you to do when you visit these sites. Don't just look at the photographers you've already know or have seen. Click on somebody you've never heard of. Give their work a real look and ask yourself, what are they represented? What does this portfolio do that mine doesn't? And that question asked honestly will teach you more than anything else that you will ever learn. Now, what if your lane is documentary photography? Well, cool. I can specifically talk to you because documentary portfolios work differently than any other genre. Like in documentary work, sequencing is very crucial. It is everything. The order your images appear in, how it tells the story at a beginning, middle, and at the end. And you cannot get a feel for that from 5 or 6 random photos pulled out of context. You need to see the full project, the full story, start to finish, right? How many times have you seen a photo or a little reel on Instagram, or it's a story, you're hooked into it, and then there's no update, right? Documentary is the same way. And here's some of the resources that are considered the gold standard when it comes to documentary photography. One of my favorite ones right off the bat, everybody knows this, Magnum Photos. Possibly the most respected documentary photography agent in the world, right? Photographers like Henry Carter Burson, Steve McCurry, and Sebastião Salgado, right? They've all been a part of Magnum for a very long time. Another good resource is VIP, or no, not VIP, Roman numeral numbers VII photo agency, and they're known for having a deep conflict and humanitarian coverage. Bird Magazine, 50 Crows, and Vero Photos, right? They're all exceptional online platforms where documentary photographers publish full projects. Now, when you're on these sites, study one specific thing. How does the photographer maintain unity across an entire project while shooting in multiple situations, right? Landscape, portraits, still life, and all within the same story. That ability to hold a consistent visual voice no matter what you're photographing, right? That's the skill that separates work from photographers and everyone else. Keep studying it until it becomes intuitive, meaning it becomes instinct, not something you have to consciously think about, right? Let's move over to fine art photography, which is kind of in my world and is probably also your world, right? You know, you have access to one of the richest ecosystems of portfolio inspirations available anywhere else. So let's talk about these specific resources, you know, artists' websites, monographs, and gallery sites, because these are going to be very, very huge. So starting with the artist website, right? There are they're most accessible, straight to the point. Most established fine art photographers have one. You can go look up Peter Lick and anybody else, and you can see complete bodies of work for free. The downside is the image quality could be bad. Um, the screen can compress things, and some work really needs to be seen large. But for studying cohesion and sequencing, they're invaluable. One note to catch on is every major photographer has a website. Lee Frieder, for example, doesn't have one, but uh, Sally Mann only recently got one, so the website alone won't cover everything you need to truly study, but it will get you to the point where you can understand the cohesion part and sequencing. And that's where monographs come in. Monographs is a great photography book focused on a single project or a portfolio, right? So one artist, you know, one body of work, complete and fully realized. And you know, monographs, you know, they're extraordinary learning tools because they self-contained, and they're mostly including an artist statement, an interpretive essay, and then photographs in a sequence that the artists intend. So let's talk about some places where you can find monographs, right? So being in Colorado, you know, I can hop over to New Mexico and go to the PhotoEye, probably one of the best bookstores to get monographs. The online store of, you know, legendary photography books from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and they're in Santa Fe and in New Mexico. And the single best place to browse and buy monologues. Major art museum stores are also great, you know. Uh, SF MoMA in San Francisco, the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, the J. Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles. And then you have the National Gallery of Arts in Washington, D.C., which all carry photographer monographs in these stores or online. Now, in terms of a major publisher to know, Aperture, DAP, Nasreli, Radius, and Twin Palms. These are the houses releasing the most important photography books being made right now in today's time. Now, a few real talking notes when it comes to monographs. Okay, one, they're not cheap. They're not. You're looking at $35 to $75 for a new one from a major publisher. The edition and size are smaller, usually around 2,500 copies. So if you don't get it, then whenever you do find it, it's going to be really expensive. And so they're going to sell out really, really fast. Once they're gone, the price on them usually the market can jump to $300 or $400, and they're not stocked in regular bookstores. So you may need to order online or visit a specialty store, right? And a few specialty photography bookstores worth knowing are Arcana in Santa Monica, Dashwood's book in New York, International Center for Photography bookstore in New York, MoMA bookstore in New York. So here's the move that most photographers and photography students sleep on completely, but gallery websites. Most photographer galleries post images from exhibitions online. That means you can see them, the entire artist's projects start to finish for free. For photographers who don't have their own website and whose monographs are out of print, this might be the only way to see their work without spending hundreds of dollars. But but there's even a better reason to spend time on gallery sites. I like to do this because I get inspiration, and you don't know what you're looking for until you see it. And here's how I recommend doing this. Go to a website of like APAID, the Association of International Photography Art Dealers, and look at their membership list. And they're going to have hundreds of galleries there, and just start clicking. Do three things. One, spend a few hours visiting a gallery site and just let yourself wander. Don't have an agenda, just look. Two, find artists who make you feel something, right? When you land on their work that stops you, don't just move on, stay there. Figure out what is affecting you. Is it the composition? Is it the lighting? Is it the mood? Is it the location? What is the photographer doing that is that you're responding to? And lastly, number three, look specifically for galleries that represent your type of photography and niche. Write those names down, bookmark them, and visit them every single month, because here's why. They're going to have new people in. And that third one, here's why it matters quite a bit. When you eventually finish your portfolio, most likely at or near, a year or so, depending on what you're trying to do, those galleries should be the first doors you knock on, not just randomly, but strategically, because you have a cohesive body of work that's in a portfolio that you can now try and get representation for, but because you spent months studying what they value, you understand the level of work that they show, and make sure that the portfolio is speaking their language, and that the presentation is what separates photographers who get gallery and representation from photographers who wonder why they keep getting ignored, right? And this is the difference. You're getting information that a lot of people don't understand or consider or know about. So let's all bring it back home, right? Building a portfolio isn't just about going out and shooting. It's about training your eye deeply, consistently, and over time, but also by studying the people who are already doing the highest level of work. Agents show you that commercial standards, documentary agencies like Magnum and VII show you the power of long form storytelling. Monographs show you what cohesion looks like when an artist fully realizes a single vision, and a gallery website gives you an endless free stream of inspiration and a map of where you want to work and eventually live. Now, none of this is passive. You have to actively show up and look. Spend the time. Let that sink in. The mirror doesn't move. You have to move the mirror. The action comes before, right? So there has to be action. Now, the photographers who build a great portfolio are not ones with the most talent. They're the ones who look at the hardest, study the longest, and show the most consistent. And start today. Right now, open up the tab and go to PhotoEye.com or go to Magnum Photos and start looking. Your eye is a muscle. Every great photo you study is a rep. And if you put the work in, your work will then start to show. So I'll see you in my next video. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe and have a lovely day, my friends.